This is Joshua Hart for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by Izzy Asif here over Zoom. Izzy, really good to see you. How is everything?
Yeah, good mate. Sun shining in Sheffield. Everything's good. 3 weeks away from a massive fight night in South Yorkshire, Doncaster City. So yeah, we're buzzing.
Let's go straight into that. 3 weeks to go now until Terry Harper headlines at the Doncaster Stadium. GBM's first of two stadium shows this year, we believe. How is the feeling around the company? It's first time doing a stadium. Any nerves, any stress, or just ready
Yeah,
to
of course, a little bit of nerves. It's a bigger show. It's a massive show compared to what we've done before. You know, let's be, it's double, triple the kind of attendance we've got coming, and it's a huge step up for us. But something that we're embracing and something we're looking forward to. A little bit of nerves, a little bit. Of course, it won't be right if we weren't nerves. It won't be boxing promotion. It won't be world title fights. It won't be championship fights. A little bit of nerves, making sure things go right. Fighters are all right, but nothing out of the ordinary. Something that we're kind of immune to now.
And just looking at the undercard, the fight of the undercard that really stands out for me, and especially with some news around that fight recently, Maxi Hughes versus Archie Sharp. Now for the WBC silver title as well, which means the winner would be mandatory for the world title shot. How did that come about, first of all? How did you get the opportunity to contest that fight for the WBC silver?
First of all, obviously we had Maxi on the card. It was important to get the right fight. He's a Doncaster fighter. I think he's one of the best fighters in the city. He really is, former world champion. We believe a future world champion again as well. We tried making a fight with Sam Noakes. We tried making it with Josh Padley ideally, but that didn't happen for obvious reasons. He went out to fight in Saudi. And then Archie Sharp was the one who was available, ready, kind of ready to take the fight on. And I thought, I want a top five or six in the country, lightweight, to take Maxi Hughes and push him. And that fight happened. And then we obviously had a conversation with WBC, which we've got a great relationship with as well. And we said, look, this fight warrants that kind of states a title, and they made it happen. So yeah, it's a huge fight. So it was a massive fight anyway, but to have the WBC title on online as well, it makes it even more attractive, more spicier.
And it's already been quite a good build up and a bit of back and forth between the two. Do you expect it to heat up even more as we get into fight week?
Yeah, I just heard something yesterday. Something like I think one of the media team were telling me they asked Maxi Hughes, "What's three things that you beat Archie Sharp on?" And I'm sure he come across said he said boxing, boxing, and boxing. So I think it's going to be interesting. We've got a workout this Saturday. Uh, I love this when fighters get close to fighting. Now they're a bit more on the edge. You know, they've been cutting weight. They're a bit more tense and fired up. I think it could be a little bit spicy for face off on Saturday when we do a final media workout at the French Gate in Doncaster City Centre this Saturday.
Lewis Sylvester and his team have said that this is Reece Mold's retirement fight. Do you see Reece Mold going out there and shutting them up about that statement?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, this is personal. This is something that's been talked about for a while, as you know, Josh. Louis Sylvester, Reece Mold, his team accusing Reece of not wanting to fight. And we've kind of made this fight. We said if you want to be on a stadium show, you want to be live on the zone, you want to be on top of the bill, these are the kind of fights you've got to take. So both men have come up to it, probably ideally didn't want this fight, but it's a hard fight for both of them. It's a real 50-50, and where does the loser go? That's what it is. So potentially is retirement for the loser. They are at that stage of their careers and the age they are and the kind of years they've had in the game where Reece, if he don't win, where does he actually go? What can he do? So it's a big one. But I think Reece has got his bit between his teeth in this one. I'm hearing good stuff. I'm hearing he wants this. I'm hearing he's gonna got a lot of fans in front of me. He's a Doncaster boy, raised in Doncaster. He's got a lot of family, friends, and people he knows in the city support him. So I think he's going to really want to do a number on Lewis.
And another really even great fight on the card. Tycee Gallagher back in action against Ebony Jones. A fight that was scheduled in the past, but due to some personal issues on Tycee's end, which we're glad to see she's back now. The fight has now been remade on an even bigger stage, and there's already a backstory between these two. So, do you feel this fight could also still fight night? It could be a very explosive one when they get in the ring, couldn't it?
Explosive one. One of the ones, Josh, that I didn't force Tycee to take. I think it's a very difficult fight for Tycee Gallagher. I really do. And I'm promoting Tycee, and she's our fighter. But look, I'm in the business of putting good fights on. And Tycee Gallagher and Ebony Jones is a really hard fight. It's a real 50-50 on the line. I believe it's 50-50. Ebony actually beat her twice in the amateurs. So, is it advantage, Ebony? But Tycee fancies is she peaking right? Is she the girl in form who's had the regular action? But it's a massive fight for both of them, really is. I believe the winner goes on to potentially be close to a world title fight. We've already spoke about the WBO and Tyson Gallagher, who ranked number 1 or 2 in the WBO and potential world title fight down the line. But she's got to get past Ebony Jones, who's obviously down at this famous Steel City gym. They're going to be confident. She's around the big fighter. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. A lot of rivalry there. And I think that's another one that could get fired up. Could see the back and forth. And you think I'm just trying to sell a show here, Josh, but I'm not. Genuinely, these fights are fiery, spicy, 50-50. Anything kind of happen fights.
Absolutely. And looking at the headliner as well, Terry Harper versus Natalie Zimmerman. I spoke to Terry last week, and she seems like she's in the best place she's been in a while with her boxing career. She said there was a period where she fell out of love with the sport, but she's found that love again. And a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter. Are you expecting a statement performance and for her to do the job in style on May 23rd?
I'm expecting the best Terry Harper you've seen. I'm expecting absolute statement. I'm expecting a clinical performance, clinical finish, and then she's ready for the Dubois, Caroline Dubois, and all them. She's ready for them. And look, I leave that to Ben Shalom and Eddie Earn to deal with that kind of fight to happen. My job is to make sure she fights May 23rd, goes on a good shot, puts a good performance on the zone, and shows she has. But you're going to see the best. You've got to see the clinical Terry Harper. You've got to see the best Terry Harper that you've seen, and then she'll be calling out Caroline. I think she'll be ready for the big fight.
If she beats Zimmerman and does it in style, how would you expect her to go on and face not Daniel, Caroline Dubois? And how do you think she gets the job done? Do you think she beats Caroline Dubois?
Struggle against Daniel Dubois. She
Yeah,
really would.
yeah, I think he would struggle against Daniel.
I think most people struggle against Daniel Dubois the way he's fighting at the minute. so, Caroline.
Yeah, Caroline Dubois, not Daniel. Just for the record, Caroline Dubois versus Terry Harper.
Listen, Caroline's a great fighter, somebody I've admired, and I thought she's a great talent, so technically correct as well. I enjoy the way she goes about herself. But listen, styles make fights, and Terry Harper's just got that a bit more experience. I think she could cause trouble for anybody. But look, it's a great fight, really is, and a fight that I think will happen. But like I said, I leave your match room and the Eddie and your boxer team to deal with that. My job is just to make sure Terry puts a great fight on and ready for that fight because I'm sure she will be, and I'm sure you're going to see the best Terry Harper. Who knows? We might see Caroline at ringside. There's mutual friends between. Maybe we see at ringside. Who knows? Let's see.
Well, we look forward to May 23rd. Just looking at the Galway show as well, that we know there's a date for it. We've not seen any fight announcements yet. How close are we to getting fight news for this card and seeing who we'll see on the night?
Really, really close. We're just going through 1 or 2 final pieces. Listen, I like giving you guys a treat. So, we had 2, 3 really good fights on, but let's give it one more. Let's give you a bit of a treat. I think you'll like this announcement. You're going to enjoy what's coming in Ireland. Yeah, we've rolled it out a little bit, and we're going to put a good show on there. So we're nearly there, but we are definitely going to Ireland end of June. We'll be going there. Going to Galway, and yeah, it's gonna be a special night for everybody involved. That's another statement, another kind of a tick box kind of exercise where we've gone abroad, gone on a flight, and gone on to another show, and something I said we'd do as well.
Now, there is one fight that I've seen rumored for the undercard. Brad Ray shared the video of the little promo video on his story and just put a European flag and then the Soon emoji next to it. Could we see Brad Ray versus Shakan Pitters land on this show?
Strong possibility. Listen, it's a great fight. When it happens on this one, it's a great fight. Really is. Not much. It's a bet. Actually, crazy how life works. It's a better fight than Daniel Dos Santos because Josh, I love the British rivalry. I love a good old British dust up. I've said it so many times. I think it brings something different. It captivates the people, captivates the crowd. It gets me excited when I've got that British rivalry back and forth. There's a bit of history there always when you've got no friends, you've been in the game, you've maybe boxed at amateur shows together. So there's always that bit of tension. And I enjoy it. And listen, Brad Ray and Shakan Pitchers be a great fight, really would be. One, I split 50-50 down the line, but both believe that they're going to win as well. So it's going to be exciting when it happens. Possibly could happen in Ireland.
Well, we look forward to it. Just moving away from all the GBM talk here, and I want to pick your brains on some of the big fights that we've seen recently and some coming up as well. Let's go back to the weekend. We saw Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn settle a 2.5 year rivalry between them, but a 35-year one when you look down the family history. Um, just looking at those 12 rounds that they shared, how thrilled were you by the 12 rounds?
Yeah, listen, they're brilliant. Did I expect that? No. did a lot of people out there expect it? Because sometimes in these big shows, when such a big build up, you normally let down a little bit because there's so much anticipation, so much rivalry and tension, and fighters a bit hesitant to let go because there's a lot at stake. But they both, they're both the credit to both teams and both fighters because the stock got risen by Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. because they both put a proud performance on, didn't shy away, they stood there, they had a go, there was nobody running away on the back foot, and listen, it was a great fight, and I thought Chris played it clever in some rounds where he would actually maybe a little bit, I don't know, didn't do the power shots, but looked like he was throwing a lot of shots. We call it the arm shots, but he looked really busy and he kept action. That's what judges are looking at, as what he was throwing. But Conor looked dangerous. Conor Benn looked dangerous all the way through. And there was never at one stage I thought Conor's got that little snap in him. I've got that punching power. I said he would. I don't know. But it was a great fight. One I thought Eubank won. I thought Eubank deserved the win. But there's not much in it. It was a great fight, great spectacle. And what I'm hearing from everybody who was there, ringside and fans, they loved it. Like your general fans out there I met today at a gym earlier on saying, "Oh, we love the boxing of the weekend," and that's what boxing needs. You want to bring your different fans, your different sports into boxing. You want to bring your football fans into them. And some people say the first time they've been to a boxing show is how much they enjoyed the atmosphere. And listen, that's what boxing is. We need to draw the fans into the sport. And if events like that do it, brilliant. Let's keep the numbers pushing. And I think we're a great advocate for boxing, British boxing. And yeah, they should be proud of themselves and they earned a few quid as well, so it always helps.
Exactly that, exactly that. Just looking a little bit more into the fight, we know there was all the talk in the week about the rehydration clause and Chris Eubank Jr. making the weight, and then the very controversial weight miss that I believe is being t the board are investigating now. Um, are you interested in seeing a rematch between the two, or do you think it's better they move on now?
Listen, I personally, I like to see, would I like to see it again? I think it'll happen. I think it's a good fight. And I think there was not much in it. So, maybe if the weight got negotiated again and the weights, and maybe it could be a different result. But yeah, possibly see it again. It was a great spectacle. The build-up were great. Yeah, I'd watch it again. But there's obviously talks about possibly Billy Joe fighting Eubank. There's other fights. Maybe Chris has wants. Who knows? But look, yeah, I think it'd happen again. I think the numbers make sense. Financially makes sense. People want to see it again. Would it sell another stadium fight? I think it would. So yeah, I'd watch it. But obviously, I'm good friends with Billy Joe, so I like to see Billy Joe beat up Chris Eubank Jr.
Well, you mentioned Billy Joe Saunders. It wouldn't be a Eubank fight night without Billy Joe Saunders turning up and causing a little bit of carnage. We saw the reports come out in the week from the Ring magazine that Conor Benn had supposedly asked him to be the man to inspect the hand wrapping. Conor Benn denied this and said he hadn't asked, but Billy Joe saw and he was there. He went to get into the changing room, which led to a bit of an altercation with him and Eubank Jr. Um, what did you make of just the absolute
Oh,
carnage?
Billy Joe's Billy Joe, and he does just have a bit of laugh, and he does what he does. Don't surprise me. Billy's always up to stuff and a bit of fun, a bit of mischief. But listen, he's good at heart. He don't really mean more. I don't know the situation, what it was. I'm not really aware of it. I've spoken to him a couple of days ago. I didn't actually ask him about that situation because it is what it is. I don't really know much about it. But yeah, Billy, he likes to make a bit of noise and he's fun when he's around. And yeah, anything can happen when Billy Joe's about.
And do you reckon we can see a fight between him and Chris Eubank Jr. again down the line?
Listen, there were talks of it last year. Me and Billy sat down. I sat down with Eubank's team as well, and there was talks of it. There was talks, and look, Billy Joe, look, he knows he's smart man. He'll need to shift a little bit of weight, and if he wants to get back in it, but look, it's a hard game. And Billy is financially pretty well secured, so does he need to come back? But something tells me, speaking to him this week, that he still wants it. He's still got a bit of fire, and he makes great numbers, makes great sense. And you think the Eubank Ben rivalry is great because of the fathers, but when it comes real tense rivalry, I reckon Eubank Billy Joe could be just as fiery build up, and the rivalry is real. And I think that the back and forth he had with Napa and Billy Joe's only kind of helped that grow. It's only made it fight even bigger, but it possibly could happen. Maybe I'll be involved in it. I don't know. Look, Billy Joe does what he wants, but I'm friends with him anyway. I've got a relationship with the Eubank team, so who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But look, credit to Eubank and Ben. They should be proud of themselves. The family should be proud of what they've done. They've earned a lot of money. They've not let themselves down. They didn't get overwhelmed in such a big magnitude of fight. You know, it could really happen as a fighter. They did, so credit to them. And they let go. They just should be proud of themselves, and the credit's gone up. But let's see what happens. A rematch, I think it will happen, but who knows? Listen, this game's strange, Josh. Anything can happen. You know, it's literally the boxing's come with such a strange and dynamic business. Anything's possible, you know. But maybe we see the Eubank and Canelo fight. Who knows? Listen, I don't know. I'm just enjoying the ride of GBN, and I'm enjoying being a fan of these big fights. I love the fact that Riyadh Season Turkey's putting these fights on because we get to watch them, don't we? We get to see these fights.
Absolutely. And if there's a man that could make Billy Joe come back, I'm sure, as well as yourself helping out a little bit, I'm sure Turkey could convince him to come back. Just lastly on a Billy Joe versus Eubank fight, how would a fight go between them if they were to fight, let's say, in like
Billy Joe beats him easy,
the
comfortably. Yeah, there's different levels. Honestly, there's different levels, and yeah, people say Billy's been inactive and everything, but Billy's got a great boxing IQ, really has, and that can always be. You don't lose that overnight. The sharpness might go, but the fact he's got the IQ, uh, I, I think Billy Joe beats him easy. Really do. I think just a different level. Billy's one of the greatest British fighters we've had. You know, everybody knows that, and as long as he commits and dedicates himself, which I don't know if he will or not. I don't know if he wants to. I don't know if he's got the desire, the hunger. That's the truth, and he'll do it if he wants. I don't think he can be forced by anybody. He's got to want it deep inside him, and I think he does a number on Chris.
Absolutely. Chris Eubank Sr. made his shock 11th hour arrival to the fight. Um, were you expecting Senior to be there as a fan?
Yeah, I had a feeling it would happen. I just said to one of the few lads in the gym, I've got a feeling he's going to rock up on fight night. Uh, it's great that father and son. It's a great relationship. It's an important relationship. Let's put boxing aside. The fact that one of the biggest nights for his son. Uh, it's important he was there. And look, if it wasn't for his father, he won't probably be in the sport because his legacy of his father has motivates him to get involved in the sport and been influenced by his dad to be in the sport. And for him not to be there at ringside of his son's biggest fight with his biggest arch rival would have been a sad kind of occasion for the family. But I think it was great. It was a good story, and it was a happy story because a lot of people took niceness to it, and it's good because somebody might be going through an issue with their own father or family member in life, and they think, wow, they've turned it around, and it might be the motivation to make amends and tighten the knots with your family members. So I think it was a great story for the country and the British fans to see, and people took to it. And well done to them to getting together, and let's see what happens in the future.
Well, on call, Chris Eubank Sr. himself said that he would like to see Eubank Jr. retire now after that on Saturday night. He said he doesn't feel there's much more left to do. Do you agree with that? Would you be happy to see?
Yeah, of course. Listen. You're always thinking about the well-being. It's a dangerous sport. It's a hurt business. We watch as fans, but this sport you could really seriously get hurt. It's the only sport in the world where you can legally finish your life, can't you? And it's a tough business. And I know they're getting paid well. I know what they're signing, but as a parent, of course, you're always worried about your kids, and you're thinking, I don't want him to have any more. And he's done well. And listen, if he did retire tomorrow, he's had an unbelievable career. He's earned handsomely. He's earned his own money, not just his father's money. He's earned, but on his own career, he's established a name, a brand for himself, and he could retire. He's beat his arch rival, and I see where his father's coming from. I really do see where his dad's coming from, but I don't see that's going to happen. I think he's got a few more fights in him. I think definitely got a few more fights in him. But I understand what his dad's saying, and but look, being a fighter is a thing that never leaves you, and sometimes you got to know you got the right people around you telling you, look, it's time to call it a day because you're only one punch away from fatally changing your life, aren't you? And losing faculties, and it is that dangerous. And sometimes you don't see that, but obviously being a former fighter, taking a few shots, being hurt myself a few times, I always remember the pain and the kind of gruelingness of boxing and sparring, and so I think if his dad's telling him to call it a day, he's doing it for his care and well-being. He's done extremely well out of this game, so let's see. But I think he'll carry on.
Well, Izzy, you were on Talksport yesterday, obviously promoting the shows, but you did say on air as well that you have been a part of the Billy Joe Saunders and Eubank
Yeah,
negotiations. Can you give us any details at all about if that fight is actually a legit possibility? Because people are going to be
listen,
doubting it.
we was very, very close to signing the deal. The contracts were on the table. Eubank's team were extremely uh, easy to work with. they made things very easy. We were close. We sat down. We had few meetings back and forth. We were at the final stage, and it didn't happen for personal reasons. We wanted one or two things, but the deal actually got done, and I think the deal will be back on the table. I've been in touch. No secret, I have been in touch with Billy, and I have said, look, let's make this fight happen. And I've been in touch with the Eubank team, and they still think it makes sense. But look, Billy's got to want it himself. That's the thing, Josh. He's got to want it himself. But that fight possibly could happen, and what a story would that be if I promoted Billy Joe in a massive fight with Eubank at a huge stadium at Wembley or something. I think that could sell anything. That fight.
What weight would the fight be at? Would you take it to 160 or at 168 at super middle?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Look, they're the kind of things that we were back and forth on negotiations. But look, we're not close yet to getting it done or on
Mm.
the table because. But I tell you one thing: if Billy Joe wants it and he really deep down inside him wants it, the fight will happen. But he's got to want it, and he's got to want to shift that way and get in the gym and get hungry for it again. Because listen, it's a dangerous sport. I keep saying, and you've got to be hungry. You can't half measure this game. So and Billy will understand that. So if it happens, it'll happen.
Absolutely. Moving away from all this Eubank Ben talk and looking at an announcement we got on Sunday night. Usyk versus Dubois 2 is now official for Wembley Stadium, July 19th. Spectacle that I believe the first time undisputed heavyweight action has taken place on British soil. Big occasion. Who do you believe comes out on top on the night, Izzy?
Look, I like Dubois, obviously British lad. I like him to do a number. I'm good friends with his managerial team, really close with me. But I just think Usyk's just a different level. I just think he always finds a way. I know there were controversy in the first one, but I just feel like Usyk's, he's an all-time great, and he finds a way no matter who's up against.
How does Usyk beat Dubois? Do you believe it's a points job this time, or do you reckon he can stop him?
And I think he'll be going for the stoppage, of course, but I think it possibly points because Dubois has proven himself, hasn't he? And he keeps coming along. I think he'll go on points, but Usyk's he's a tremendous fighter, and he's that boxing IQ is just on a different planet. He's an all-time great, and I think he beats anybody. Really does. He beats any heavyweight or cruiserweight in the world as we speak right now.
Fair enough. Well, Izzy, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. Really good to catch
Cheers.
up. I look forward
Thank
to
you, mate.
seeing you soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.